Hello everyone, and welcome back to Harriet Creates, where I attempt to make things for my doll's house. In this episode, I'm making teeny tiny tiles. To do this, I got hold of some porcelain, I believe, air dry clay, but in all honesty, you could use any air dry clay. This was just the one I had around. The first attempt, as you will see just here, was a little bit chaotic. There was a lot of shoving and pushing to try and get the clay to where I wanted it to be. All of the tiles are uneven, they don't really match. However, I needed this to be able to do my next go, because even though the trial doesn't look too bad, it didn't look how I wanted it to. I am a little bit delusional in thinking that I can just crack this out on the second try. However, I don't think this attempt went too badly. So you get your pastry. You get your clay and you roll it out on a flat surface. I am using this chopping board with Stitch's face on that is made out of glass, and I've covered it with cling film, and that is to protect the surface of it and to make it easier to remove. But if you have like a flexible board, that might be easier. So you roll out your clay and then cut it into squares once you've got the thickness right. I am using a very sharp metal ruler dipped in water to try and make it so that it passes through the clay very easily. Once forming all of the little squares that I need, I then leave it to dry. So that can sometimes be overnight or a matter of hours, depending on which clay you're using. Once it is dry, however, I don't peel it. Instead, I paint exactly as they are. So for this one, we are using white acrylic paint for the majority of them. And then I went through a little bit of trial and error, as you can see. I knew I wanted a selection of them to be coloured, although I couldn't work out which ones and what colour. So I mixed up some blues, some greens, some pinks and some purples, as I quite like those colours. And then I found this metallic set. I think it came from Flying Tiger, I honestly can't remember. And I used them. I first mixed them into and tried with different ones, and then I think just went straight in with the metallic ones. And I'd chosen this selection at the bottom. So making sure that there was an even number of all of them, I painted all of the metallic ones and then all of the white ones. Now you have or may have seen me go over them several times, and that is because I couldn't get rid of the original paint trial that had occurred, so instead decided to cover it up as much as possible and then go over it again with some metallic. Very messy, but we got to where we are. In this process I did manage to get paint in my hair, on my nose and in my ear. How? Not a clue. once these were dry, this was when the peeling occurred. So a lot of lifting up of cling film and then attempting to separate them until I realised scissors might be a better option, as the acrylic paint had formed a bond. Not the end of the world, but if you tend to peel it, it will peel the entire layer of acrylic off the clay instead of cutting it, which will save it. So I opted for cutting it. And putting them all in little piles to be arranged later. After removing them and getting rid of the board, I knew that I needed to seal them, and in order to do that I was going to use UV resin. Now, is there a better way of doing this? Absolutely. Should I have Googled it first? Yeah, absolutely. But instead I decided to do the crazy option of UVing them all at the same time with this teeny tiny little UV lamp. Is it insane? Yes, it is. After applying UV to each and every one of these tiny tiles, of which I think there was about 120-ish of them, I then moved the lamp ever so slightly every minute and a half. And yes, it did take as long as you're thinking it takes. It took forever. I did not take any kind of entertainment with me, so I was just sat watching the light go out repeatedly. Note to future self if we're ever doing this again. Take a book or some form of entertainment so you don't get bored and try and UV resin crazy things like the lid of a deodorant can. After UV resining all of them, I then went back through and took off some of the excess. So even though I just wanted it on the top, in order to get it on the top, sometimes there was too much. But they came out wonderfully, and I was able to create a little bit of a tile background for behind my countertops and the back of this oven surround. A video for how I'm making the countertops and the ovens around will be out shortly. But yeah, if you're looking to make some tiles, grab yourself some porcelain clay, grab yourself some paint. I've chosen acrylic, but you can have any paint or any clay, and maybe some UV resin or a sealant of any description. And you can make tiles of any size for yourself. In the next video, or a video, I have no timeline for this, I will be putting them onto the board and then applying grout to make them be proper kitchen surrounds. So that'll be fun. And please come back and have a look at the madness. Hit subscribe if you'd like to see all of the breakdowns I have whilst renovating my mum's doll's house. It's going to be a fun ride. See you on the next one. Bye.